What the f*** is up, guys? Happy almost Halloween. It would probably have been more fitting to make a Halloween-themed video, but I actually tried and got too scared in the process. So this is all I can give you right now. I also got a new mic, which I'm pretty stoked about, and I'm hoping the audio quality is better than before, so you can hear me yap about Francis Ford Coppola's dream project, Megalopolis. No way. Megalopolis. There we go. And just to warn you, this film confused the out of me, so I don't know how much sense my explanation is gonna make, but hopefully you get what I'm putting down. So, before Megalopolis, there was this Roman story called the Catalina Conspiracy, and long story short, it's basically about this dude Catalina who tried to violently seize control over the Roman Empire in 60 BC or something like that. So Coppola uses the basis of this story for Megalopolis and situates it in what I think is supposed to be a 21st century version of New York City, which is stylized as New Rome. And in this city, we've got a lot of debauchery, a lot of elitism, and a wacky story that's intended to be a warning against fascism. At least that's what Coppola says. And without spoiling too much, as far as I could understand, Megalopolis is about an architect named Caesar Catalina who's got some time manipulation powers and is beefing with the mayor Franklin Cicero because they both have opposing plans for the future of the city. And in between this beef, we've got a lot of weird sex stuff going on, a lot of lust, a lot of grief on Caesar's end, and a bit of baby making between Caesar and the mayor's daughter. And yeah, I think that sums things up pretty well. Now, because the film was genuinely confusing to me, I'm gonna try and break the plot down in the context of the two primary characters, Caesar Catalina, played by Adamdriver, and Franklin Cicero, played by Giancarloesposito, but mostly Caesar, because Franklin Cicero's whatever, you know? The rundown is that Mayor Franklin Cicero is a conservative type who wants to keep things as is, which is basically aristocratic in nature. And opposite of Cicero, we've got Caesar, who's meant to be a genius architect of sorts, working to create a self-sustaining utopian society. Word salad, I know. But the exact characteristics of what this society is supposed to be is sort of ill-defined. Caesar is portrayed as an arrogant ladies' man who reads Shakespeare out loud to the public.
To be or not to be? That is the question.
I sort of understood the vision with it being Adamdriver and all, but it was all very strange because we've got him haunted by the memories of his dead wife, who supposedly died from a drug overdose. But there's also some subtext that when Franklin Cicero was a district attorney, he helped Caesar get off clean for the death of his wife, which is also not fleshed out at all and probably should have been. But in his time of grief, Caesar's also having relations with one of the most vain and power-hungry characters in the entire film, While Platinum, which didn't make very much sense to me and didn't make very much sense for his character unless he's supposed to be some kind of walking contradiction. But Caesar eventually falls in love with the mayor's daughter Julia, and they all hee and ha with one another for the sake of the baby. And let me not forget the most interesting aspect of Megalopolis. Caesar also has time and physics defying abilities granted to him by Megalon? And no, it's not that Megalon. In this context, it's supposed to be a magical substance that Caesar invented to facilitate his utopian dreams for New Rome. But it only works if he truly believes in his vision. Yeah. And we also don't really know quite exactly how Megalon works, so I know how it sounds, but bear with me, okay? Or maybe don't. I don't know. We've got a lot of moving parts in this film, a lot of questionable things going on. For example, we've got Shia LaBeouf playing Caesar's evil cousin Claudio. We see him in like Roman drag doing a bunch of crazy shit, but yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. I'd say that's the gist of Megalopolis, but one thing I was hung up on was Caesar's abilities. It's unclear as to why Caesar has these abilities, but it seems as though it's supposed to be a metaphorical representation of him being connected to a higher power, or whatever the fuck. As annoying as it was, I was kind of digging it, you know. I didn't ask too many questions. I assumed Caesar was just that guy, okay? His powers bared a lot of similarity to Neo's powers in The Matrix.
I know Kung Fu.
And then, coincidentally, we've got Lawrence Fishburne, aka Morpheus, playing Caesar's right-hand man, which I thought was an interesting connection, right? Or am I just hyping it up too much? I probably am, right? The really irritating thing, though, was that Caesar would never use his powers for anything good. Like, he would just create illusions of his dead wife and make time stop for random reasons, which is on par with schizophrenia, if you ask me. So, what is the verdict? My opinion is that it was an experience. I know that I don't understand it all, and I have mixed feelings because of my confusion, but what I will say is that for me personally, I enjoy a little bit of that what the f is going on right now kind of feeling. I am a die-hard Nolan fan after all, but being one step ahead of the audience member is a lot different than being 5 steps ahead and not clarifying what's going on within the context of the film. I think that was Megalopolis at some points. Like, we don't know much about Megalon or Caesar's powers, and we don't even know how exactly this futuristic city is supposed to be characterized, yet all of these details are core to the film, right? And Christopher Nolan is someone I'll always use as an example because however complicated his films may be, he never omits any details, okay? Everything you need to know about Tenet, for example, is within the film. The only problem is that if you don't pay attention, you will miss the details and end up confused. It's a lot like watching anime in dubbed. If you blink too long, if you look away for too long, you're gonna hear what's going on, but you're not going to see stuff to add to context and understand, you know? So what I'm trying to say is I cannot tell whether Coppola put all the necessary details into the film or if I'm just confused because I'm dumb. I don't know. I don't know. But even with all the confusion and weird dialogue,
I work without caring what happens to either of us. So go back to the club.
Very weird dialogue.
Ugh. Smells of you. Sandalwood. Citrus. Sweet nail memories.
So weird. I didn't hate Megalopolis, even though I'm a relatively difficult audience member to please, so I think all the overwhelmingly negative reviews and everyone I know who told me not to watch it are haters, okay? Like, morale is real low right now, but it's like when someone with a nice personality and a big brain hits on you but is not aesthetically appealing. If you can see past the superficial values, you'll realize there may be something special there, you know? The really unfortunate thing though is that my dude Coppola took out $100 million to self-finance Megalopolis, and they made only 10% of that back in box office sales, which is pretty rough, not only for a self-financed project, but for Francis Ford Coppola. okay? And although I'm also a part of the problem because I torrented Megalopolis, I still think you guys are haters for not giving this man his money back, okay? I'm blaming you guys. All right, not me though, because I'm just different. I'm putting this video out, which compensates my $20 ticket, you know? The film itself almost becomes more interesting in a way when you consider that Coppola had been working on this script since the 80s, okay? Its foundations are 40 years in the making, and Coppola did try to make Megalopolis twice before, so I do think you gotta respect the hustle a little bit, no? It's like The Room by Tommy Wiseau in a way, and I'm not saying that Megalopolis is as bad as The Room, but I am saying that the dedication to one's craft is what makes projects like this so cool. Right? The universe was not working in Coppola's favor at all. The art department and the visual effects team left midway through production, so there were a lot of last-minute changes and improvisations that made Megalopolis what it is, for greater or for worse. Okay? Like, Coppola was clearly married to this project because, like, you gotta have, do you know how big your balls have to be? Do you know how, like, self-confident and self-assured you gotta be to not give a if your $100 million movie flops? Oh my god, I would kill myself, probably, if that were me. If I've made short films and put them on YouTube and they got 40 views and I literally wanted to bye-bye, goodbye. I don't think there's anyone out there like Francis Ford Coppola, because that is like, he's carrying his balls in a wagon right now. I know that for sure, okay? I know that for certain. And honestly, with everything working against Coppola, I think he kind of cooked a little bit here. Okay, and maybe not in the conventional way of cooking like what we saw with The Godfather and The Conversation, but Megalopolis is something that stays with you like a cold sore and makes you think about the world. Okay, I know a lot of people don't like to do that, but that's what it does. It makes you think about modern day industrialization, and for me at least, it had me thinking about, and bear with me, and how obnoxious this may sound, okay? Please. It had me thinking about David Hume's idea about taste and aesthetic and what it means for a film to be good on a universal level, okay? Is it even possible for something to be universally praised? Forgive me, because I know I sound like a jackass here, okay? But I think that what makes a good quality film is a lot more ambiguous than it simply being entertaining or even visually striking. I also know that this is not a unique or profound take, but sometimes when people think a film isn't good, like when Revenge of the Sith first came out, it takes a few years for people to realize the genius behind the film, okay? I wasn't into Star Wars back then. I was probably like 6 years old, so you know, but if I were an adult when Revenge of the Sith came out and I heard people talking smack, I would be saying the same thing I'm saying right now, okay? Like, some things that seem corny or seem as though they lack clarity of intent actually end up being completely misunderstood masterpieces. And that is what Revenge of the Sith is, okay? Now, I cannot say for certain whether that is the case for Megalopolis. Maybe in 5 years, I'll come back with the wisdom to offer a better explanation than what I've said in this video. But I would suggest giving it a watch either way. Chances are you'll hate it, but you'll probably have a good laugh like I did, and you'll have a good time if you allow yourself to have a good time, okay? I would give it maybe a 2.5 out of 5 stars, which is like a medium rating for me. It's not the worst thing in the world, and it's definitely not the best thing, but maybe with a rewatch that rating will change, okay? This is a film. I can't take myself seriously when I'm saying stuff like this. Okay. This Megalopolis is a film that inspires me as a filmmaker. Okay? Because I don't know if I'm emotional or don't know if I'm throwing up over what I'm saying, but you get self-conscious about your ideas sometimes and whether they make enough sense or whether they're singular or unique enough. But when I see crazy shit like this and like what M. Night Shyamalan makes, it's like even if their work is not necessarily good, there's something inspiring about the drive to create, even if nobody likes what you're creating, okay? Very Sigma, very rock star, if you ask me. And I said it before, I'll say it again. I think Francis Ford Coppola has big old balls, okay? Because this flopped and he could care less. Like, he's Gucci. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought of Megalopolis in the comments. Let me know if I made any sense in this video, because I don't even know what the I'm saying sometimes. I feel like I actually just blacked out and was possessed by Francis Ford Coppola himself, who is trying to get more people to the box office. Yeah, anyways, if you watched all of this, you're a trooper for real, because I know this was basically incoherent. But yeah, I'll see you in heaven for this good deed you did. And if Megalopolis blows up as like a cult classic in the next 5 to 10 years, remember that I called it, okay? Because perhaps I'm a visionary just like Coppola, and perhaps only real recognizes real. So if you recognize that I'm real, then what is that? What does that say? And for those of you who really stuck behind, like right now, this is probably the last few minutes, my next video is probably going to be on the scariest female killers or villains. That's what I want to make it on. I was thinking of making a video on the scariest horror films to watch, maybe just like 10 or so, throughout the rest of October, which is basically like 2 weeks. But I got too scared trying to make that, so we'll see. I watched Amityville Horror like last week, and that scared me. Isn't that crazy? Like, when I was watching it, I wasn't scared, but it's like after the movie's done, like post movie, I become schizophrenic. I start thinking I'm the main character, and I start thinking, oh my god, all these things are going to happen to me. Of course, why wouldn't they? I just have the worst luck in the entire world. But yeah, happy Halloween. I hope you guys enjoyed this little setup I have. This has been here for like a month now. It's the Last Supper, but with black people, which I love. I'm not religious. Also, I didn't buy this, but it was in my house, and I thought, pretty radical, you know? Like, they tell you Jesus is white. We don't know. Nobody knows. And if you say for certain, then maybe you're schizophrenic, because were you there? I love this mic so much. It comes with a little grip. This mic, maybe I can get sponsored one day. This mic is a blue Yeti mic. It originally comes with like a little desk holder, but that was too low, and I knew it was going to be too low, so I also got this like grip that you can connect it to on the underneath. Unfortunately, it's USB. You need a USB-C to connect it, or it doesn't work, but all you just need is an adapter, and it'll work just fine. Sponsor me one day. I'm getting up there, okay? My last video had almost 600 views, which I'm feeling kind of excited about, because what am I doing? I'm just talking, right? Francis Ford Coppola, you're giving me the spirit to keep going, okay? Nobody can tell me I'm stupid anymore after I've watched Megalopolis, because Francis Ford Coppola doesn't care what anybody says, so why am I gonna care? You have to have that level of delusion to do what you're gonna do. All of the ideas that I thought were so stupid, and I thought, who would ever finance this? How could I ever get this made? How could I ever get actors to act in this? You just do it. Do you think Francis Ford Coppola gave a... No, he didn't, because he's a He's a real. Anyways, bye.